Hi everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I've made it out to Laindon Woods because we're in the depths of winter now, and I love coming to the woodlands this time of year. There's some really interesting shapes and textures that can be had within the woodland, and I think it's about looking closer, also looking at the wider vistas as well. Today's weather was supposed to be a little bit of broken cloud. Unfortunately, we've still got a bit of cloud cover. The sun is there, but it's really diffused coming through the clouds. So I'm thinking about sort of hopefully looking at black and white images as well today, because I really think that that lifts the image quality, particularly with this sort of muted light when you're in the woodlands. So hopefully today should be a good shoot. So let's go. So with the first image that I've come across here today, I've got the camera set up quite low, so you can possibly just see it over there, with some of the bracken that's obviously turned that lovely sort of goldeny brown colour, and where obviously the dead bracken's lying, you've obviously got a darker side and a more silvery side. So I've been hunting around the bracken here and found one of the ferns still standing up a little bit, and that's illuminating it that little bit more against the background of the bracken. With the camera set up low and looking up the slope as I'm here to some of the pine trees at the background, working out to be a really interesting image. Now I've taken about 4 or 5 images in portrait orientation to make a pano, and the settings that I've got for that are f11, ISO 100 and 1/30th of a second as my base image. I was considering about bracketing it, however I think that settings will suffice and I'll be able to manipulate it a little bit in post-production. But with that angle of the fern is making that image that little bit better. If I didn't have that fern in the foreground, I think it would just look very bland and just a blanket of grey ferns etc. in the foreground and not really that interesting. And it's just finding that little bit of uniqueness, something adding to the actual image will hopefully lift it that a little bit further. Also, shooting at f11, what I'm doing with the image is the background, as it is so far away and obviously the foreground so close to the camera, it is making it that little bit sort of soft in the background. Now I'm quite happy with that. I quite like the image because what I'm actually doing is making the predominant part of the image about the actual ferns and turning it that black and white is my thought pattern as well, will hopefully make it that raising that level a bit more as well. However, if the composition though had a more interesting sky or more cloud detail there, I may well consider focus stacking this image and taking several images in the foreground and also then focusing on the background as well, and then combining them two in post-production as well. But for this one, as the sky is what it is today, happy with what I've got. Composition, I've had a good walk around and come across this oak tree, I believe it is. So I've got the camera set up really low and I've changed over to the 10 to 18mm lens, but I've actually changed back again because I need the 10 to 18mm lens on the vlogging camera, so I did use it to take an angle of this tree looking straight up with the fan of the branches, and where they've obviously not got any leaves on at this time of year, it's creating a really interesting image. And the direction of the sun as it's breaking through the clouds now is coming obviously from behind it, so it's being backlit, and I love the silhouette shape that it's actually creating within this image because of obviously all of the gnarly branches. Really interesting. I framed it up with the trunk in the centre of the image leading up, and then obviously with the branches splaying out to left and right and above as well, because I actually quite enjoy that. I think if I looked at framing it with the trunk left or to the right of the composition, I wasn't really finding that too pleasing to the eye. I think that sort of random but symmetrical shape with the trunk in the middle is making this image that little bit better. Again, silhouetting it as well and picking out some of the detail in the sky at the same time. Settings for that are post up as well, as I can't remember it off the top of my head, but working out to be a really interesting composition, I feel. I'm placed right on the slope here, looking out across to some of the pine trees that we've got. Really interesting view. I love the lay of the land here because that's adding to the image really nicely. It's obviously creating a diagonal through the image from the bottom left to the right, and then with the pine trees as well, and one of the dead oak trees in the centre of the image as well. So working out to be a really interesting image. So settings for the camera for this one is f11, ISO 100, 1/20th of a second's my base image. However, because of the dynamic range, and I want to make sure that I've got that dynamic range when I come to post-process this image, I've actually bracketed 2 stops either side. So hopefully with that working out really interesting. Key thing for this one is working out really well is leveling up the tripod best you can, obviously adjusting the legs on the tripod, but having that central base plate leveler as well working out to be really handy for this type of image because I am on such a slope. You would think Essex is quite flat, however this little bit of it is not, but working out to be a really interesting composition, I hope. And also it's very slippy, so if I shoot down the slope here, may well be in with 250 quid, which will hopefully get me a new vlogging camera. Who knows? So it always works that way, doesn't it? You pack up all your gear, you go and do your last piece of camera, and then the light actually starts working in your favour. So I've had to slip and slide back down the hill to get that composition again, and what fantastic light we're actually getting. So the sun is coming obviously behind you, lighting up the scene, and really fantastic. There's a little tree just about there that's actually being highlighted, and obviously then the shadows in the background as well. So I'm playing around with the exposure for this one, going for f16 ISO 100, bracketing 2 stops either side, but the base image is about 1/40th of a second ISO 100. Working out really incredible. This is what the scene actually needed, is that little bit of light popping. So hopefully composition I really liked before, now with the light, work out more interesting. I've really enjoyed myself coming out to Laindon Hills today. Fantastic location. Visiting the woods this time of year as well makes out to be some interesting images. Yes, you've got to work at it, but that's the fun of photography, isn't it? If it was simple and easy, everyone would be doing it, and where would be the enjoyment of when you get that actual image? Hopefully today, yeah, I've come to an area that I've wanted to revisit for a long time now. Didn't actually get here in the autumn weather or the autumn conditions, but still, coming in the winter, really interesting. I think I was actually, funny enough, here this time 1 year ago when I did my first vlog of 2019, but yeah, it's a really great, interesting location, and hopefully some of the images, some of the compositions that I've able to capture today will working out really interesting. Hopefully you've enjoyed it as well. Please make sure you give us a comment, as I really do enjoy those comments. If you have liked the vlog, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, and also if you hadn't considered it already, please consider subscribing. But thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, take care.